National Nutrition Natural Health Reviews. 3 minutes of the latest naturopathic info with Canada's leading nutrition experts. Watch, learn, and get healthy naturally.
Hey there, Naturopathic Doctor Jonathan Beatty here, health expert with Nationalnutrition.ca. Today I want to talk a little bit about a condition that people often present in my office with, something called Irritable Bowel Syndrome, or IBS for short. Now, this is one that I'm very passionate about. The reason for that is I don't believe in the diagnosis of IBS personally. To me, IBS is characterized by a collection of symptoms. It's alternating constipation and diarrhea. We've even now subdivided it. You can have IBS-C or IBS-D. If you just have constipation, they'll call it IBS-C for IBS constipation. If you just have the diarrhea, they'll call it IBS-D for the diarrhea. But to me, it's what we call a diagnosis of exclusion. When the doctor can't figure out exactly what's causing your problems, they'll diagnose you with IBS so that it's really a diagnosis for insurance purposes. If you have to take time off work or an extended leave, or you need some sort of medical intervention, doctors need to document why they're performing it. And so we give you this diagnosis of IBS while we're trying to figure out the cause. So that to me is the real thing, is we really have to look at the cause. It's not that I don't believe that people are suffering from these symptoms. No, I do believe in your suffering. What I don't believe is that, there's no known cause. To me, there's always a cause behind it. IBS can be due to, one or multiple causes, and that's often what makes it so hard to diagnose the exact underlying cause of your IBS symptoms. See, when you have a syndrome, that literally just refers to a collection of symptoms. The doctor doesn't do any further diagnosis, just you complain of these symptoms, you have them as a group together, they say, okay, that's IBS, off you go. Instead, what we're going to look at is why you may have IBS. One of the number one causes are food sensitivities. Essentially, your body has an immune response to a certain food you eat. This creates inflammation and causes either rapid evacuation of the bowels in the case of the diarrhea, or it causes inflammation and stasis where the bowels just aren't moving, and it leads to chronic constipation. And oftentimes when the constipation builds up, toxicity builds up as well, and eventually your body's going to a massive elimination, and that's why you'll alternate between this sort of constipated feeling and then flip over into diarrhea. It can be quite a debilitating thing. You can have bowel urgency, bowel frequency. I've seen patients that have to visit the restroom 10 times a day for bowel movements. Very debilitating way to live your life. So let's look at, one of the most simple ways of managing it is just changing your diet, especially if there are food sensitivities associated with it. The most common ones I see in my office are IBS related to overconsumption of gluten, overconsumption of dairy, or in some cases actually beans and legumes tend to be another major thing I find often associated with IBS symptoms. And so sometimes for certain patients, we remove these foods from their diet, their IBS resolves. That to me, I consider a success. It's a sensitivity to those foods. Now there are other causes behind IBS. It may actually be related to an infection or infestation. So an infection is when you get a pathogenic bacteria growing in your intestinal tract. That can, again, create that inflammatory response. It can disrupt normal digestion, and that can manifest as the symptoms of IBS. An infestation, on the other hand, is an overgrowth of a normal, healthy bacteria. But what's happening is your bacteria is not in balance. You're not digesting your foods appropriately, and this is leading again to improper breakdown of your foods. It can lead to all sorts of different fermentation byproducts and toxins being produced, and that again will produce those symptoms of IBS, that alternating constipation and diarrhea, which ultimately leads to a lot of discomfort. So, identifying and treating these underlying infections and infestations is also very helpful. Another thing that can actually trigger IBS symptoms is actually taking antibiotics. That often tells me that the cause behind the IBS is related to a bacterial imbalance, because when you take something that further disrupts the bacteria, that will then trigger this IBS-like symptom, and therefore you know that you've got some level of intestinal, what we call dysbiosis or imbalance in the normal gut bacteria. Something easily fixed by supplementing with fermented foods, which help re-inoculate your gut with healthy bacteria, by supplementing with probiotics, again, bringing in the healthy bacteria to help normalize the function of the immune system, to help normalize digestion and eliminate the symptoms of IBS. Also, look at using something like glutamine. Helps to eliminate inflammation in the intestinal lining, helps to heal the gut, to ensure that your gut can function properly and again, reduce the symptoms of IBS. And often IBS is triggered by stress. Anything that irritates the nervous system causes that hypermobility of the gut, and that's often where you'll see the diarrhea flares or the loose stool flaring up. So herbs to help manage stress. I'm a big fan for the gut, specifically of peppermint and peppermint oil. It helps to calm the nervous system, it helps to alleviate stress, but it also helps to calm the nervous system in the gut. And that's why peppermint oil can be so effective as a digestive aid in people who suffer from IBS, especially when they're having a stress-related flare-up. So those are some of the things you can do to help manage your IBS. If you suffer from it or know somebody that suffers from it, please share this video with them. Check out more of our natural health videos, subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, please post them below. And always remember, knowledge is health.